Okay, well, welcome all of you to this very special assembly on Veterans Day. And Veterans Day is a day that we reflect upon and honor American veterans. So in other words, persons who've served in the United States Armed Forces, and we're remembering and reflecting on and honoring them for their patriotism and for their willingness to serve and their sacrifice for the common good. And Veterans Day was formerly known as Armistice Day, which was a day that honored the end of World War I, which was on 11th of November, 1918. And in some countries in Britain and the Commonwealth, countries such as South Africa and Canada and Australia, today is known as Remembrance Day. And Mrs. Swift, some of you may in the lower school have seen that Mrs. Swift very kindly made some flowers, some red flowers known as poppies. And these are worn in Britain and the Commonwealth countries to remember those who died serving in the military. And the reason that we have the poppies is that they were growing in the fields where many soldiers were killed during World War I. So we're very fortunate to have a veteran working here at Lakeview Academy, and who many of you know, Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers grew up in Pennsylvania. He graduated from college, the United States Military Academy at West Point. Mr. Rogers served for 11 years in the Army as an officer and a helicopter pilot, and he's now starting his 29th year as an educator. So I thought it would be great if we could hear from Mr. Rogers. I've asked Mr. Simpson to ask him a few questions.
Thank you, Dr. Montgomery, and Mr. Rogers. We want to honor you today and just say thank you. Thank you for serving our country for 11 years, Dr. Montgomery said. And I'm amazed, and just want to interview you, and you don't mind just answering a couple of questions. First off, before I ask you the first question, is I'm honored that I am speaking to a West Point graduate. Congratulations, that's quite an accomplishment. And just so proud to know you. And we're thankful you're working at Lakeview Academy. Hey, to answer the first question I have is, did you enlist into the Army, or were you drafted?
Well, at West Point, you don't really enlist. It's a long drawn out process, but you have to apply and get accepted by a congressman or a senator or something like that, and you get accepted to West Point. So it's more like getting into a college, except there's a little more to it. Like I said, you have to get a recommendation by a senator or a congressman and get in like that. So you don't really enlist, but you go in as an officer. It's pretty much a college, except we do a lot of military stuff while we're there.
That's awesome. And so you chose to do this, which another, why in the world would you choose to go into the Army? What was that? What was the reason behind the Army out of all the other branches you could have gone into?
Well, I grew up halfway between the Naval Academy and the Military Academy. The Air Force Academy is too far away, so I never considered that. But I visited both of them the summer before my senior year, and I just really liked the campus up at West Point. It's nice in the middle. It's kind of up in the mountains, along the river, and really a really nice place. So it just seemed like that was a nice, better place. But I would have been happy going to Annapolis too, which is the Naval Academy.
Yeah. But you chose Army. Well, that's awesome. That's incredible. You know, to get off script a little bit, a lot of these kids a lot of people, actually kids and faculty members, we see you running around this town all the time. I mean, you put me to shame, but you impress me. But you have ran every single day for how many years?
18 and a half.
18 and a half years. So you've been running longer than these seniors have been born. You haven't missed one day.
Have not missed a day in 18 and a half years. 6,700, and it'll be 93 days today.
Wow. That's impressive. And you'll run, what's the least amount of miles you'll run every day?
It doesn't count as a run unless I do at least a mile.
I love it. I love it. I'm so impressed. Well, that brings me to my next question is, tell me about your boot camp and training experience.
Again, it's called a cadet boot camp, which is run by other cadets, but it was different. I mean, you go there, and I wasn't expecting it because I've never been around the military before, but you go there, and the first hour they're screaming and yelling at you and telling you to go here, go there, say this, don't say that. They tell you the first day you can say yes sir, no, sir, no excuse, sir, and sir, I do not understand. They're the only four things you're allowed to say for the whole first 2 weeks. So you learn to just say no excuse most of the time when they ask you a question. But it was different. I mean, the physical part wasn't hard for me, but the mental part of being yelled at for the first pretty much 2 months straight, really the whole first year, just being yelled at, for pretty much a year straight, that took a pretty good while to get used to. But after a while, you kind of learned to get used to it, and it wasn't any big deal.
That's great, and it's amazing that you continue to train and continue to run. What a great exercise, and great for the mind as well. Hey, we all want to know, and we talked about this a little bit beforehand, but did you ever serve in a war? And after that, let's go into the next question is, if you didn't do that, did you go overseas, and where did you go overseas?
I was fortunate enough that when I was in, we didn't have any wars except for the Gulf War, the one Desert Storm. And I wasn't one of the ones selected to go over there. So, but two of the guys in my unit did go over there. But I did not go to any wars. But I did serve in a number of different places. But the one place I went to South Korea. I was about an hour, probably less than an hour away from the demilitarized zone. So I was probably about 45 minutes away from North Korea. So that was a year that was a little bit different experience over there. I think you were going to ask me, and to save you from asking me, but they said it was kind of unique. Back in those days, we didn't have cell phones.
That's right.
And
yes.
So back then, if I wanted to, I wasn't married back then, so it was just me and my mom and dad and stuff like that. But if I wanted to talk to them, I had to talk by letter. So back, like, you guys probably think that's back in the 1800s, but
it was.
Back in the,
you didn't get to text mom and dad. Come on.
There was no texting. There was no cell phones. We had I think there was some kind of a landline that you could get on, but it was very, very expensive. So I think I called them maybe once in the year I was over there. But other than that, we had to write letters back like they did back in the 1800s, I guess, or the early 1900s. So it was a little, I would not say it was an enjoyable year over there, but it was something that it was good to see how another country is. And so it was a good experience, but I wouldn't say I enjoyed it over there.
Mr. Rogers, a lot of our, to get kind of not joking about communication, a lot our veterans right now, and we have service men and women that are overseas right now that are fighting for our freedom. And I feel so blessed to live in this country, to have men and women do that for us. But what are ways where we can communicate with them right now? Can we still write letters, email?
I know there's things you can send, care packages and stuff like that. I'm not sure exactly how you do that, but I know there's places you can go and send care packages or send letters and stuff like that. And I know they really appreciate when they get little goody things with treats or food or something like that, because like I said, they don't get too much of that stuff when they're over there unless their parents or family members send it over there.
What did that feel like to you when you did get a letter from your family?
Oh, that's the only communication we had. So it was nice to get a letter from somebody. It's not the instant gratification you have now with when you do go online, like Zoom meetings and stuff like that, like we do now, or FaceTime and things like that. But it was nice to get those letters, even though I was a boring writing letter. My mom was a boring writing letter, but it was still nice. She'd tell me what all the family was doing, what my brothers and sisters and everything was doing. So kind of kept me up to date as best you could.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, let's get down to the nitty gritty. What was the food like
in the Army?
Yeah.
At West Point, it was actually pretty good. The regular Army, it's not necessarily the best, but luckily, once I got out and was an officer, I pretty much ate on my own. I didn't eat in the mess halls too much after that. But it's not terrible food, but West Point actually had very good food. But the other Army foods, it's not bad.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you doing this interview with us, and I don't want to get long-winded, as I'm sure the students have been patient in listening. But what do you think of when you see the flag? What is it that comes to mind?
Well, to me, it just makes me feel good inside. I think some people think of the flag. It just thinks about the fact that we're in the best country in the world. It's an imperfect country. You know, it may have some faults, but when I see the flag or when I hear the national anthem, you're always going to see me standing, put my hand over my heart, because it's just, like I said, I can't think of a better country I'd want to live in. That's why I'm here. That's why I served. And I think that's why all of us served. I mean, it means a lot to us. It means why we did the sacrifice in the first place. So it's very important to me. And like I said, I'll always stand for it, and I'll always put my hand over my heart whenever I see the flag or hear the national anthem.
Mr. Rogers, I personally want to say thank you. I'm honored to know you. I thank goodness that you work at Lakeview Academy. And kids, when you see Mr. Rogers, please make sure that you tell him that you appreciate him. And when you see other veterans around this town, please make sure you take a minute to tell him thank you, that we are so appreciative. Mr. Rogers, we're thankful for you. Thank you for doing this interview. And I'd like to ask if you could lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. And students, at this time, I have a flag behind me. If we could all stand, and Mr. Rogers, if you could lead us in the pledge. And students, once again, thank you for your patience. Teachers, thank you for your patience today. And I hope you have a wonderful day after we do the pledge of the flag. Mr. Rogers?
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Happy Veterans Day, and happy Veterans Day to all. You'll have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Thank you all.
Thank you.